When making any film, there are a number of typical codes and conventions that are involved, from the camera angles to the locations. However, when looking at the horror genre, these conventions are used to create a reaction of fear. Many people would typically believe the story itself is what creates fear within audiences. However, this is not the case. There are characters themselves, the atmosphere, mood, and the world created within the film. If we start by looking at the stereotypical characters within horror, they are usually teenagers played by young adults with a number of different traits. After we've established those who will be terrorised throughout the film, we need our villain. Now, in most cases, villains are usually zombies, ghosts, demons, werewolves, serial killers, and vampires. On the other hand, other horror monsters are beginning to emerge, such as the usually friendly children's toys shown in Child's Play. From the outset throughout, these monsters will be what keeps the audience on edge, creates jump scares, and genuinely freaks the audience out. Now, I must admit, without these characters, the film would not be classed as horror, but there are many other factors when creating a good scary movie. These include atmosphere. This can be created through lighting, sound, and location. When we think about it, the most typical location are usually in an old and dark house or a building with long corridors and creaky stairs. So we can tell that this type of location is best for films about hauntings. This would allow the director to play around with lighting and the narrow spaces they have. For me to get a bigger insight on what others think about horror movies, I interviewed some fans of the genre, Beth Foden and Jess Badley. What's the best horror film you've seen?
The scariest film I have seen will have to be 28 Weeks Later, only because of the music. It's very jumpy.
The best horror film I've seen is probably The Hills Have Eyes, and the scariest one is probably Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
What conventions in horror films?
The lighting in horror films are very dark. I like it when they're very dark because it makes it more mysterious. You have to concentrate to find out what's going on.
The lighting's usually quite low lighting and to make it scary. The sound, they usually have a lot of effects to make the audience scared.
How is fear created in the audience, and what particularly scares you within horror film?
What scares me in horror films are definitely the sounds. Especially the ones where you're not expecting it. So it'll be sort of simple music and then all of a sudden a big bang will happen. That'll make me jump and scared.
The sound, like I said, sound effects, lighting, low lighting as well.
What do you think goes into making a good horror film?
What makes a good horror movie will be very good actors who know how to act on instinct as well as director's choice.
A good concept, good script, good actors, lighting.
So any advice for someone making a horror film?
Make sure it's different to other films that people have seen.
For me, the main cause of fear when watching the genre of film is the use of sound. Without sound, the film would be far less effective. Sound can be used to show movement, emphasise a jump scare, create tension, highlight how a character is feeling, create a brand image for a film and show the evil within a villain. Sound is just so important. The two most famous sound effects in horror are the sting and the stab. The sting is a short bit of music used as an exclamation point to emphasise something on screen. An example of this is the violins in Hitchcock's slasher film Psycho. This is one of the most famous sound effects in horror history and has made appearances throughout film history. The purpose of the violin getting lower in pitch was to emphasise the knife getting deeper into the victim's chest. On the other hand, a stab is a much shorter sound effect used to create a jump scare. This is mainly what actually makes the audience jump, and this is therefore used to emphasise something popping on screen. If we wanted to show the presence of a villain, we could give them a theme. One of the most famous themes was made with two simple notes from the 1975 film Jaws. These notes show that something is there but emphasise both the speed the shark is travelling and how far away he is from the next kill. This instantly provides the audience with more information and gives personality to the killer. In addition to this, it gives the film a recognisable theme song and creates a strong brand image.
Meaning that what goes into creating horror is not just the narrative itself, but rather the atmosphere created and how the characters themselves are presented in order to create a fearful reaction from the audiences.